Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This is legit fantasy football, the show that started it all. Let me tell you something. That was the intro for the draft coverage that we did, our second annual draft coverage. And the reason that I played that is I wanted to remind everybody uh, how well we did. Um we actually got a lot of views on our coverage again for the second year, and believe it or not, like got a lot of comments of people acknowledging finally, um, like that we were calling things before they happened. I mean, let me bring in the guy that'll help me explain this. Joining me as always, Mastradomus. What's up, Matt? How you doing?
Sometimes I'm doing and sometimes I'm not so doing. And one of those times, far few in between, I'm not so doing. We had a loss in the family and it's been a catastrophic loss, but that's what makes life so grateful. Every moment that we gotta be blessed for it. And big shout out to Richie Pendleton, who's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Every time Madden came out, we were always on it, playing nonstop. Big shout out to Richie Pendleton, like a brother to me. He used to live with me. My mother used to take people in. Richie was one of them, and
How old was
big.
he?
He was probably 5 years older than me. I believe he was in 75. He actually fell victim to addiction, and that's something that we need to talk more about, be open about, and if you're ever hurting, say something to somebody because what I'm feeling right now is not good. You know, I miss the kid,
I
and,
hear you.
and he's going to be missed.
No, here's the thing, dude. That's why here's the things that I believe in. I believe in that when someone talks to you, you have to listen. You have to actually listen. And like in my younger days, say my 30s, I didn't listen. I just kind of like was listening kind of, but I was just having a conversation. Now I realize you have to listen. If you listen to people, you can hear what's going on with them. And maybe you could help them out or offer some advice, but you have to actually listen. And everyone has some sort of addiction. That's what my theory is. I don't buy the bullshit that someone's not addicted to something. I mean, it could be something positive all the way to something negative. We all have addictions. We're human beings. I
Yeah.
just think that's how that goes, right? So we're all nuanced. We all have faults. No one's We're not just bad guys or good guys. We're a little bit of both. That's how people are. There's moments when you end up being the bad guy and you do wish you didn't do what you did. It happens. But there's a lot of times where you're the good guy. So that's what that's what you strive to do. The problem is with the addiction thing is when they feel like that they won't be able to live without the feeling that whatever it is they do gives them. That's where it gets mental, and that's where they need the help, and that's what you wanna make sure
He
they know that life's actually better without it. Even though you can't
he
see
fought.
that,
He
it is.
fought, and most people do fight. They do fight. He fought. He went to rehab. He was a big bodybuilder, influenced by my oldest brother Jamie, and always handsome, very handsome man. Uh,
Speaking of handsome, I saw John's photos. Is he still rocking the long hair in the back?
he cuts it. He cuts it from time to time. Right now, he's got like an afro. He cuts it and he gives it to Locks and Love. But Richie, he basically um, just he fell victim to alcoholism, and what really happened was you know he went to rehab. He got out. He actually started looking healthy again, and he went right back to the bars. And he didn't feel too good about it. But sometimes you got to go to rehab 2-3 times in a row in order to get yourself back to health. And it just it sucks to see people that you really think are very very good quality people struggle with feeling good about themselves. But it's something that really does happen, and we
Well,
be there to check on each other.
here's the thing. Another thing I say is like people say stuff like yeah, so and so killed himself. Can you believe that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Because I mean, like, if your life is so good that you've never considered, like, I'm just gonna jump off this bridge right now, so I don't have to like go to a meeting. You know what I mean? Like, if it's that great, then I don't know where you live. So to not understand why someone will get to that point is hard. I think having kids grounds you more in that sense, where it's like you
Well,
can never do anything because
that's the thing that's so sad. He's got a 19-year-old gorgeous little girl.
all right, see, that's
But
the
the
problem
it's
though.
just like you were saying, King. Hold on. When you seen the soldiers going overseas over and over and over again, they used to always tell us the reason why that is because you got one job, you don't have any bills, you got no responsibilities, all your worries are at home. And they would always tell you never call home because there's always a problem at home.
Yep.
But that's the thing. The soldiers kept going back and kept going back because it's easy to be away. That's
But
the best thing about being overseas.
wait, what was I just saying though?
You were just saying basically um how basically life is stressful and
Yeah.
how not conceive.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So
listen, hold on. To further your point, there's more suicides today than ever, and they're only going up. And it's funny because, like, we have this show and we're talking about Richie. Um, I was a suicide prevention officer in the Army for my unit, and they always said that when there was a suicide in a platoon or in a family, there would always be a copycat. Today in Barville, we had a suicide attempt, and it was like Richie's best friend. So hearts and prayers to Joe Tessie and the Tessier family, who is like another brother of mine and I grew up with. But it's like addiction has taken over not only these towns, but the country. And, we can go here and there, but that's why Democrats want open borders.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. See, I don't. I'll be honest, dude. I'm now officially at a point where I got to come up with my own term for my own group because both of them are disappointing me. But
Oh, they're both.
sticking on this subject for a second. Like, I just think in general that there's the whole lockdown screwed people up mentally. I think I think I honestly think what saved me was doing podcasts constantly and stuff like that. And I had to go out to do runs for my mom. So my life almost didn't really change much. And I was always talking to people. So some people just like hold themselves up, right, dude? And that was their life. And depression went skyrocketing. Uh, drug addiction,
Suicide.
drug addiction went through the roof. Suicides went through the roof. Opioid addiction went through the roof. Like, you know why? Because they all got depressed being stuck in the house for that year. You know what I mean? Like, so, and the kids that I got messed up, dude. I got 8 kids, seniors in high school that just graduated. I can see the kids even younger that it totally. They don't know how to They don't know how to have a conversation. Let me explain one thing really quick to tell you the difference, right? Now, I know this is gonna make me sound like a bad guy, but it's just you got to remember what what decade we were in. Okay,
That's right.
if my son sees a girl out and she's drunk, he stays away from her, and all the other guys do. All the other guys do too, right? Back in my day, in the 90s, if you found the drunk girl, you hooked up with her. You see the difference? It sounds rotten what I'm saying, but it's not, because literally in the 90s, guys and girls would go out and get drunk to bars or clubs to hook up. Now, if you see a drunk girl out, you have to stay away from her. Isn't that a big change? You don't think that's a big social change in that short of a time, 30 years?
There's been a lot of changes, and right now what we're under is a huge attack on comedy, and that's almost like, even like right now, like thank God I've been married for 15 years because I wouldn't even know how to date today. Like, it's so crazy. Well, I do believe that there's still some real women out there, but there's not many real men and there's not many real women out there. So,
You know what I would do if I was ever
and-
single, Matt? If I was ever single, I would come on this show and then I would rip my shirt like Hulk Hogan, and then I would broadcast the whole show like that. I mean, so
oh my
listen,
God, did you see him?
some may throw up, but I might get a couple that like it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well, what I was hearing, and you know how I'm a big conspiracy theorist, and I think this kind of falls right in line with Elon Musk. What's he got? What's the virtual reality? The virtual reality where you put the mask on.
All right, just say allegedly.
You walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, allegedly, I can see what they were doing with the COVID. Like they got more people gaming than ever before, and more people. Like even if you see, like we all got the people who got used to working at home. They don't even want to go back to work. They want to work from home, and there's a lot of companies that are suiting that. So it's making our country more lazy. There's a breakdown in the education system. A lot of people are starting to go, okay, I'm homeschooling my kids, and what they're pushing in the education program now is kind of making people want to homeschool their kids. It's gotten to the point where it's too much in our face. It's too much take, and we'll see what happens with it. You know what I mean? But let's talk some fantasy football.
Let's get into some football. Let me show you something before I do that. The New York Sack Exchange.
Ooh! Who's all on that?
Mark Gastineau. It's Mark Gastineau, Abdul Solomon, Joe Klecko, and the other guy. Oh God, what was the other guy's name? Kali, whatever it was. The main two I remember were Klecko and obviously Gastineau. That's
I remember.
All four, Matt.
That's such a sick helmet.
Sack Exchange. Look at that. Yeah. And you want to know the truth about how this happened? So check this. Because this is football. So I'm always checking and I'm always watching the Ultimate Autographs thing. Their breaks, right? So they had a break going on where they were chasing that helmet. They actually sent me a baseball where they all signed it. So anyways, it was like $30 to buy in, and what you would do is you would pick one team, and then they would randomly give you 3 more, right, for the drawing. And they were chasing the Jets, that Jets helmet. And there's this guy from Jersey that kept buying the Jets spot. He did it for like a week straight. Like he must have spent like a bunch of money, right? So there's 2 boxes left, and I tune in because I've been following it too, to see if the guy gets it. Like I was rooting for the guy to get it, honestly, at first. But then Matt comes down to 2 boxes, right? So he buys the Jet, they all buy into it. I'm thinking when they pop up the next thing, I'm just taking the Jet spot. You know what I mean? Because you got a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Guy said, because what if he doesn't? What if they don't open it on this box, right? So Matt, I'm refreshing. It comes up. Boom! I take the Jet spot. I'm in, right? I go back to the live drawing. It ends up being like a Raiders helmet. I'm going, oh. So now they're trying not to say anything, the guys there. Because the minute they look down, they can already see that the only person that's bought a spot yet is me, and I'm right there to take the Jets. So it's like, it's inevitable. So the weird thing was that some people...
What is it?
Inevitable.
What is
So, my point was, but people still bought in, which I didn't understand. Like they weren't paying attention. But in the comments, right, the dude from Jersey lost his mind. I get telling me to do the right thing, all this stuff. Oh, you have no idea.
do the do the right thing.
Yep.
I am. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it.
You know, and you know, he was like, I bought in like, dude, like, I mean, he must have spent, Jesus Christ, he must have at least bought in 10 times, at least. So he was at least like 300 to 400 in. You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
And Matt, I was watching. So I actually ended up putting in the comments, like, I've been watching the whole time. I just saw the opportunity. It was 50-50. I jumped in, took a shot. And they started talking about me, dude. Dude, they talked about me on air about, like, that's how you play the game. Like, they felt really bad for that guy, but they're like, that's how the game's played.
Absolutely. I've gone into a Raz where there was one spot left in like a mini or a bottom, took the spot, won a main, won the thing, and people like, dude, close the magic. Like that thing was going on, and you took the last spot, got the last minute, got the last spot, boom, won the game. That's how it is. And people are like, how, what? That's how it happens. You get an opportunity.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Jesus Christ. Stop it. I am very lucky when it comes to, I'm telling you, when it comes to raffles. Things in that sense. Just always have been. I'm telling you, it's a weird phenomenon. All right, Matt, we're going to talk football. I think we said what we want to say. If you want, before we start talking football, we can do a moment of silence. I'm down for that. Let's do
absolutely. You know,
let's do 30 seconds though, because on the air it's a moment. If you want to do a minute, I'll do a minute, but you won't believe how long a minute is for real.
No, we'll do 30 seconds for Richie. Richie's he's more of a go do your thing and keep living and shine on. He's the way he exited. He's kind of ruthless in that, man. I think suicide is a very ruthless thing. And
was he a protective kid?
Like just go. I look at him like a big brother. He influenced my brother John. And he was like part of the family.
But I mean, how big was he? In other words, did you feel safe around this kid?
I felt like we could take on the world. The kid was a juggernaut. He was probably around 245, 250, but there wasn't many times, like maybe when we were younger and we were kids, but he wasn't like that. He was a gentle giant, but he could do his thing if he had to. Absolutely.
There's certain people that when you walk with, you go out with, that you feel more comfortable with. And then you have friends that when you go out with, I swear to you, you feel like you could get a beating because they don't know what they do, how to fight, or they're not those type of people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have friends that are like that.
Richie was a big Seven Dust fan, and one of the coolest moments that I got to see was he got a photo with LeJean, the lead singer there, and I'm a huge Seven Dust fan.
I never met him, this kid.
You probably did. Yeah, you probably did.
Right?
Yeah, he was not only was he at like majority of the shows, he was just a big supporter, big family, always there, and he was a big lover of music. So to even mention his name with suicide is just, I talked and I got to know his girlfriend who he was with for like a dozen years, very well. And we became very close, and we wished him well, and we were trying to help him. But she said, I just can't believe Richie would kill himself. And I said, that wasn't Richie. Like, someone who kills himself isn't someone who is like thinking rational or thinking about, I can get through this day and we're going to make sure we have a great day tomorrow. Like, it's the last thing that's on their mind, I would imagine. So it's like you can't even like try to fathom what that person's even thinking. But
they need to be gotten to sooner. They need to listen. You can't you can't
no,
you can't you can't blame somebody for being weak, having a moment of weakness, no matter how strong they are.
yeah, no, absolutely not.
But
Because we definitely all get weak. But
for the most
one
part,
of the things is, King. One of the things being a suicide prevention officer is they say when you commit suicide, you lose a loved one, you lose a job, um, you're financially in debt, or like there's like comes in twos or threes, and then it's like, I'd rather be out this than to keep on trucking
so
on. It's you know,
man,
you
here's how I look at it, and I know this may be just
yeah,
because I'm twisted. Um, I accept any pain or issue or weight, and that's just that. Like, in other words, I would never do anything to myself because I'll just take the
no,
pain. You know what I mean? I'll just deal with whatever it is. Like that's how I am. I'm almost like what's it called?
absolutely numb. Yeah, I'm absolutely numb to it. Like it's awesome, right? I got a my my ex drummer, before we had Lopes, and Lopes was a gem.
You had
Uh,
like
Russ
five
was
drummers, dude. So you really got to tell me which one this is.
no, we had Mikey T for only like a year or two, and then Russ was basically from 2002 to 2008 to
Oh, I
2010.
know
But
Russ.
Mikey, yeah, you know Russ. Mikey Lopes came in around when Russ kind of was doing his own thing, but Rusty's in jail right now, and he's on hard times. But I
Really?
enjoy telling. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your
And
ex
these
drummer
guys
is in jail.
do. Oh yeah, oh
All right,
yeah.
all
And
right.
he's been in there since January. He's been in there since January. But listen, I just told him this story last night, and I enjoy this story. The funny thing is it rings true to our everyday life. When Exodus was happening, you had the Jews going through Egypt. They came along a ton of snakes, and they started praying to God, and they were like, God, please get rid of these snakes. There was more snake. And they were like, what is the deal here? And I told Russ, I said, Russ, listen, you keep talking about this, that, and the other thing. You're in jail. It's the best place you can be to focus on you. The moral of that story is there's always going to be snakes every single day. You got to be ready for your problems, and you got to be, um, expect them, because they're just like the snakes. They're never going to go away. So if you want them to go away, you're not looking at it right. You better be ready for them, because they're never going away.
See, so all right, this is why people argue with me when I say that the last Rocky Balboa movie was the best, the second best of the entire series. Rocky Balboa when he's old and he fought, and I'll give you one of the main reasons. The speech he gives his son is so legendary, and you know what? Especially if you have kids, it rings so true to what you want to let them know. Like they come from like the Wiggles and things that are like that, and I always want them to know that shit ain't like that. It's gonna get ugly at times, and you need to be prepared for that. And the measure is so. There's two things I've heard. One, you really know your friends and know a person when they're in turmoil and how they act, how they respond. But then the Abe Lincoln quote is, um, "If you really want to test a man's strength, uh, give him power." So uh, the thing is, your mind when you start to go down that wormhole, you have no power, you have nothing, you feel pointless, you feel like a burden. Um, You know what I mean? If you just and I can only imagine how deep it must go. Really, I haven't because I've never, you know what I mean? Obviously, I've never been there. I can only imagine how deep it must go on someone's mind, and I can only imagine like what alcohol and any kind of pill could do to make things seem more dramatic. That,
Absolutely.
I always try to catch myself now, again, since I got older, and people around me when they're starting to get dramatic. And what I mean by that is, and I don't mean acting, but I mean like getting too riled, too up in what they're doing. Their heads up their ass. Like they're just too stuck on what it is. And that needs to be broken up. And that's like I was saying earlier. It's good nowadays, since this whole thing happened, to stay in contact with people. I try to stay in contact with like the people that I think that
It's
are decent people. Like I've moved away from certain people, but
right.
certain people I've deemed I like these people. I can talk to these people. They're honest to me, at least. I don't have to agree with everything they say, and they don't agree with everything I say, but we enjoy that. That's what I enjoy about friendship. I don't want someone to always agree with me. That sucks.
We're basically this. Absolutely never. Absolutely not. I hate that. I forbid that. I'm basically the same age as you. We basically got to see the last years of true America and the way of free living, real living. Now we got all this technology, and I think
Cameras.
that contributes to not only just cameras is huge, cell phones is huge, and that's actually funny because I was going to touch on that the cell phones, like, remember when you got cell phones, everybody couldn't get the fuck off them, and now all of a sudden it's like, don't even call me, text
Yeah.
me,
Oh
text
yeah, I know. I wrote that. That's look. I we're
don't
getting off track,
bother
but
me.
I actually started writing stand up because my wife's like that had like a come to Jesus moment last night where she realized that I do all these different things, right? Working on stuff artistically. But what I enjoy the most out of anything is stand up. And what I would want to do most with my life would be to have done stand up. But it's the only thing I'm scared to do. Like that's how mental I am with stand up. Because Maddie, let me tell you something why. I'm old and I've learned and listened for so long that I know that I could put together a routine, but
Absolutely.
I want it to be solid and really funny. And I'm okay with certain people. Look, your demographic isn't your friends usually. Your friends don't usually laugh at your comedy because they get you. But
Mhm.
I want to give it a shot in front of a room and see how I do. But only when I feel like I got a solid 8 to 10 minutes. And I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll ever think that because I'm really like, if there's one
Oh,
thing that I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can do, it's that.
it it's so funny that you were touching on that because I've actually been thinking about the same damn thing. Like, I know I'm a funny bastard when I'm out and about and everything. It comes naturally to me. I throw it off the hip. I always got these like just one liners that are just like, because I always think crazy thoughts, and crazy thoughts are usually funny, but I always have some kind of hidden truth twist to it. But you know, I think stand up is great. It's just it's tough to be like, you got to be careful with what you say these days, or you can really hurt somebody's feelings. You
Yeah,
know.
see, but that's not it. And I explained to her, look, I said, we both know that here's how my stand up would go. It would be part stories because I'm a storyteller, but part insulting the audience. Like I don't know if people are ready for
People love
that.
that. People love
But in
that.
other words, like here's
Right.
an example, Matt. Say I'm telling a joke and I'm like, yeah, and then the next thing we knew, there was this like really big fat woman, and I'll be like, kind of like you, not as big as you, but a really big fat woman, right? And just go back to the story. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That was what my idea is, to be like always telling stories, and then they have hidden insults where I point to somebody and I compare them. That would be fucking great. I just think,
Yo, you're gonna have a bunch of Will Smiths. Get my wife's
dude, dude.
out
Think for a
your
second though.
mouth.
Let's be honest. I mean, people don't really, really know me. But if I'm wearing a wife beater with all the tattoos and I kept comb the hair back in the thing and I get the beard going, I'm not the guy you immediately want to jump on stage with. You got to give me that. Like
It was
that'll at
so,
least ward off some of them.
it was so funny. I went to a really good comedy show, and it was at Easy Grill in Lincoln, maybe like 5 6 years ago. They do a good job there. They do it all the time, maybe in the fall or whatever. And the comic comes up to the table and he says, hey, you having a good time tonight? I'm like, yeah, yep, absolutely. He's like, did your wife tell you how she got the tickets?
What'd you say?
I said, hey, I'll fucking kill you. I said, I'll fucking kill you. I said, I'll
Why?
fucking kill you.
Why?
Because at that point in time in my life, I was absolutely
I
way
would
too
have
eager.
been. I would have said my exact reaction, and what
I
I
would've-
thought was, "Yeah, your mom's must be sore." Like that's what I would have said right back
I
to
know.
him.
I've grown to be very quick witted. And at that point in time in my life, I was not. And I could have stole the mic. I could have stole the show. And I didn't. But it was more of the line of warriors don't talk about my wife at that moment. Egotistical, headstrong, like I always am. And honestly, if I could have been more quick witted, that would have been the start of a fucking star.
I can be honest, when it comes to ball breaking, I feel like a Jedi. I was trained under some of the greatest ball breakers I've ever met in my life. Like I actually hung out at one point with a group of guys that were so good at ball busting that it literally was like a shootout. Like something would happen and everyone would throw out jokes constantly. We were always trying to see who was funnier with the comment that would come up next. Right. And then the funniest part is Dave Evans would always say a joke and then everyone would be quiet for a second. And then Larry would go, and that's the last one. And we would stop telling jokes. Like Dave would come in with a sour joke and just end it, And that's the last one. We move on. All right, Matt. Let's talk football now. We get 30 minutes in. We're 30 minutes in. Let's go 30 minutes for this. Wait. So we're 30 minutes in. We get 30 minutes left. Let's do the 30 seconds. Let's clear our minds and get into it. All right. We're going to do 30 minutes of silence for Matt.
30 minutes of silence.
30 seconds of silence for
Richie Pendleton.
Okay, ready?
My big brother, Richie Pendleton.
Starting now. And there it is. All right, Matt, I want to discuss the NFC East with you. Oh, I really can't wait to do this. I want to discuss the NFC East with you. All right, let's start with a team that I got to be honest, I can't stand their name. I can't stand their logo. I can't stand their uniform. Can't stand the colors. I can't stand the whole organization anymore, top to bottom. They're another team that I've totally lost all respect for. The Commanders, get the out of here. Give me a break with that. Commanders? The Commanders. You go with, you know what? The Washington football team was dope as shit. That was one of the dopest names I've ever heard. The only ones that called themselves the Washington. Like that was dope. But dude, they were already calling them the commies. Like, pay attention, someone.
But who didn't? Who was it? 2 years ago, I called that they were going for Dan Snyder. I called it.
Hey, check this out. How would you rank Zeke, Connor, and Montgomery from 1 to 3 in a redraft half PPR format, Matt?
Oh boy,
but wait, isn't Connor fighting? Who's Connor fighting with?
Well, he's with Edmonds down there, right?
Right, and then Zeke's is Dallas,
and he's kind of getting outdueled by Pollard, to be honest with you. But Montgomery is also now fighting with Khalil Hebert. It's a very tough. It's a tough one because Connor's not going to give you a bunch of catches. Zeke's been catching the ball a little bit more, Montgomery is going to give you a lot of catches. And as he came back at the end of the year last year, he was the focal point.
Edmonds is gone. He's in Miami.
Edmonds is in Miami. Oh, that's right. That's right. The fastest team
Yeah,
in the
Trey,
league.
we apologize. We were just honoring one of our friends that passed away, so Matt might be a little shaken up on it. But all right, so
Absolutely.
wait a minute. Let's go back to the thing again. So Zeke, I would put before Connor, just because of the potential of Zeke. I mean, he's still. I keep saying that he's going to have a year where he just shows everybody because he's got that attitude. It could be coming. You know what I mean? Could be coming.
King, I got Montgomery in the front. Yeah.
All right, so Montgomery, Zeke, and Connor. Right?
I think. Yeah.
There you go. Trey, Montgomery, Zeke, and then Connor. All right.
Which with the upside of Connor to replace Zeke, because I think Zeke could get outdueled by Powell right now. We got to put Zeke there.
You got to see. Yeah, you got to put him in because that always happens. I don't know what is going on. It's weird how we picked that up. So check this out.
That's the Mastermind drummer calling from jail. It's calling
All right, listen.
That's Mastermind. Yep.
Listen to me. The Commanders. All right. What a great defense. Let's break them down. All right. What a great defense, but did they play as well as they should have? Like that defensive line is all number ones, right? And yet they didn't play that. And look who their head coach is. So tell me what went wrong with that friggin' line.
Well, sometimes when you get overly aggressive, you can really attack that with the run. And I think really what you have there, like Chandler Jones early in his year, was basically running past the run, kind of like what Chase Young was doing last year. So you got over pursuing, out of place. You can have all the names in the world, but if you're off by an inch in the NFL, you're toasted. They were off by gaps.
So here's my issue with that. Go ahead.
Coaching, I would say coaching.
Let me stick my 2 cents into what you're saying. So I only believe in having 4 guys that can get after the quarterback like that, right? On third down. I think you need the big, heavy, fat guys like you, sir, to be up front as D tackles. You know, actually, rest in peace, Tony Saragusa, who passed away at 55 the other day. He was needed. He ate up the whole middle of the. You can't have 4 guys always going straight because you're right. You run by the running back. You run by the blitz. Sometimes they lay you. You go right by the quarterback. He stays in the pocket. Like that's what was happening with with Washington. Chase. And then the secondary wasn't like anything to write home about. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know what to think of this team. Like I think they're awful if you want my honest opinion. I don't know what happened. Like last year I was like going into it thinking, "Oh, they're going to be good. They're going to be good." But now I'm hearing they're even trying to shop what's his name, the wide receiver.
As they should, because what I was just going to touch on is they've got a lot at wide receiver anyway. They got Dwami Brown, and they got the kid that they drafted this year that they feel really good about. And Terry really just wants to be in a place where he can showcase what he is, to be honest with you. But they could do without Terry. They could let him go.
He's
probably their team in the long run. He's a top wideout. He's a top wideout.
Dude,
you've been waiting for him to break, and he is great.
Listen,
he can make that quarterback look great.
The Giants would definitely give up a draft pick for Terry McLaurin. We've seen how good he is. There's no doubt. And in that system that they're trying to run, if you notice, is like Shepard, Tony, and have you watched the guy I've been telling you about? Wandell.
I wanted to watch that. I will tonight. I got time tonight, and I will.
Yep. So those 3 guys are all the same size, and then you get one big guy in Galladay, and they're trying to move, I guess, from what I heard. What's his face? The poor kid that Slayton. Poor guy's been doing nothing but playing good, but they're gonna move him.
I'm even hearing about talking about Tony too. He's kind of on the outs.
Well, dude, there's something wrong with Tony. I'll tell you right now, because every day a story comes out and then they bury certain stories. This is why I told you it's so important to follow. If you follow a team and you follow them every day, you catch things that go away. Like you'll catch things where he got like fined or something for missing a practice or not doing this drill or whatnot, and then you'll never hear about it again. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you're not paying attention, you don't realize the problems that are going on with him at camp. And I do. He's so talented that they're going to try. But I think McLaurin would be great. So, anyways, they've got Carson Wentz, right? Tell me why I should be excited about Carson Wentz in this point in his career. Like, what gives? Why are people excited about? Why is anyone excited about Carson Wentz?
Only because it gives them probably the most consistency at the position, probably in the last 3-4 years, even with Ryan Fitzmagic there.
You realize whenever someone starts off something by saying only because it upgrades, meaning it's like it's more crap, just better crap.
Well, no, it's probably to put people in the seats, but also, like, if you think of Washington, they've had some decent teams in the last few years, and it's been mainly on their not really who their quarterback is. So they are probably looking at it like, who, like, can we get? I don't know if the price tag for Jimmy was too high. I don't know.
Go get Baker.
We could be talking about in a few years. I don't know what are you going to get for Baker, but the thing is we could be talking a few years about how San Fran handled this, because clearly they're going to cut Jimmy, and he's probably going to end up playing for San Fran, and they just don't want to give him to him too early because they don't want him to come back and haunt him. But if Washington, I think, had Jimmy, I think Jimmy's better than Carson, but Carson's probably the best quarterback that they could have probably got.
See, I hate when that. See how that just unfolded. You basically made it sound like that's what they got. Like they got Carson Wentz.
It's what you get.
Like, what's exciting about that at all, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what's exciting about it is the fact that Frank Reich is like, I'm gonna take on Carson Wentz, and I drafted him, I had an MVP season with him. And then you got him for 1 year, and then you're like, I've seen all I need to see, and I don't want to see no more. I think that's exciting.
I don't know. I can't understand like how people still stick with like a Carson Wentz or Matthew Stafford or guys like that. Like I'm at the point with these guys where it's like I had enough. I had enough talking about them. Like, you know what I mean? Finally, we don't have to talk about Ben Roethlisberger this year. Oh my God, we don't have to talk about Ben Roethlisberger for the first time.
I love that.
Right? Because every Ben Roethlisberger conversation basically involves talking about how he just holds on to the ball too goddamn long. That's inevitably what we talk about.
And,
right?
You know, he became like a gunslinger like more than halfway through his career. And then we noticed that, you know, Pittsburgh basically generates a lot of good wide receivers, and of course they have always generated decent running backs. But you know, like Brady and the Patriots, they took advantage of a really weak division for a long time. There was not many teams in the North that was competing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Did you see how mad Brady got over the Patriots announcing that they're gonna wear the old red, old school Pat uniform for like a couple of games this year?
Sometimes it takes me a little while to read Tom Brady because he's so kind of like.
No, he's jealous. He's mad. He's like what? It was like
he did. He loved the Reds. I love the Reds.
Oh, I do.
But like I don't even know how. Yeah, me too. And I love the old. I actually would rather have them have the down Patriot than the Elvis flying Elvis. But
it's definitely better. Definitely a better uniform.
Yeah, it's more football. It's more football. It's
just tough. Is. Yeah.
It's sick. It's so sick.
All right, so we hit on. Wait, we're still on Washington. I just want to finish up.
Hold on, real quick, 10 seconds. And you know I had a million freaking Tom Brady rookie cards. I still got about like 20 left, sold about half. The way that Tom and Rob Gronkowski have been, and with Rob fake retiring because you know that's not real. Not even talking about the Patriots and saying, "Oh, John Tampa Bay is more than I ever dreamed of." It's so little kiddish. It's making me like throw up. It's making me like I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah. See, the greatest thing about my favorite NFL player of all time is that he never played for another team. Lawrence Taylor never wore another uniform, man. He was not going to. And that's what I appreciate. Like Tom, Tom, look what Eli Manning said. That was awesome. It was once a giant, always a giant. And then he said, but for me, it's only a giant. Come on, right? You know why people sleep on Eli? I'll be honest with you, and they do. They sleep on him. The one thing that I always bring up that people don't remember is how durable he was as a NFL starting quarterback.
Always there. Always
He
there.
never missed a single game from injury. Never, Matt, and he was injured a lot. So the fact that they ruined that streak by starting the guy from the Jets for no reason.
Worst things. One of the worst things. Who was the coach that did that?
The dope with the mustache and the hair comb back. The one that should have never been there. I've tried to blank out his name.
Yeah. I see him. Yep.
He looked like somebody's dad at a softball game.
Yeah.
He just they just made some bad moves, and it's like Eli Manning took a beating for the last 4 years of his career. He had no offensive line to speak of.
And you know what should be talked about is how classy he handled that. Like, imagine being that guy that you sit down, the franchise QB who gave you like 2 of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, and is a legend. He's a legend.
I keep saying he's gonna be a Hall of Famer. People fight me on that, but he's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Listen, right? Like, it's so funny because you hear it a million times, right? Peyton Manning, regular season, Eli, postseason. It's like they're 2 different people. But Eli was cold, and he did what he had to do in the time where he had to do it. And he made some of the greatest throws. Mario Manningham. You can say what you want about the David Tyrese catch, but it was a throw, it was a catch, and it was a great play. I made against Rodney Harrison, who was an unbelievable safety at that time. But the Mario Manningham catch and throw was just when that happened.
That was the best throw I've ever seen. Literally, in my opinion, you can't make a better throw than that, and that deep. You just can't. How can you? How can you fit it in?
The only throw that can be compared to that, but it really can't be because the time and the place and the magnitude of the moment is the Aaron Rodgers to, I think it was Richard Rodgers, when he rolled out to the left and he threw it long down the field and he just touched his toes for like 60, 70 yards. It was an unbelievable play. But yeah, it was a great play. But the Mario Manningham throw to the way Manningham caught it over shoulder, rainbow.
What was great is if you ever watch it, Justin Tuck describes it. He says to Mario, I said to Mario, great catch, but you had no choice but to catch it. Like, he put it in a spot for you that only you could catch it, and it was perfectly there for you. So all you do is catch it. Like, he goes, and I asked Eli, how do you do that? Like, how do you know how far to throw the ball when a guy moves and where to put it? And Eli goes, I just see the guy go out and I throw it to where I think he's going to be. And Tuck's like, it can't be that easy. Like, it can't be that easy. But for these quarterbacks, that's literally what they're doing. You know that, right? They're like, they know where they're going to kind of be, and they just go with it.
Speaking of the Mannings, Arch Manning, 5-star recruit.
right?
He confirms Texas. So that is big.
He's going to
Texas.
be epic. That kid's going to be epic. And I feel bad for him, though. There's going to be too much pressure on him.
I don't. How do you feel pressure when you already know you're destined for stardom, right? And you know you're good. You've been taught by the best. Like you already feel like you have an inside.
But your dad was the one that had the freak injury problem, and Cooper, and he couldn't play. So I don't know, dude. Like,
Yeah,
can't
but
be
you don't get
100%
injured
confident.
these days. You don't get injured these days, and you learn from the best quarterbacks of all time.
No, but Cooper had like a spinal issue, like a legitimate like Cooper had like an issue that's a non-football injury, like a life injury. Yeah, that's why he couldn't play football anymore. That's why they had to make him stop. So, and it's his son. Arch is his son, you know. But the best thing that happened to Eli was that everybody else that's not a Giants fan finally got to hear him talk. That's what we Giants fans that's why I always loved him, and I fought you and everybody else that said bad things about him, because there was something about the dude, like look, he was kind of
Hold on. I don't have anything ever bad to say about Eli. If you get your ass kicked in a fight and then you go back and you first of all, I remember the feeling of going into the Super Bowl and going, great, playing the Giants. This is great. And then the way the game started with the safety and blah blah blah. But anyway,
I knew going into both games
again. You don't. I got nothing but respect.
People trash him so much whenever I bring him up, right? And I say the same thing, right? He had some really bad seasons, like fumbling, interceptions, but I also blame it on the fact that they never really had great receivers. They had him in spurts, and they've really never had a good offensive line. Like, he only had a decent offensive line a couple times. Other than that, he was always on his back. So my thing with Eli is, I rate him on the fact that those 2 playoff runs were so, in my opinion, like stone cold, that it's like, that's a Hall of Famer, because he didn't have to overdo. He just had to do what was needed to win the games, both games against teams that seemed literally insurmountable.
Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame.
That's the greatest dynasty of all time, right? The New England Patriots of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? So the only team to beat that dynasty twice in the Super Bowl is Eli Manning and the New York Giants.
Not only were they the greatest dynasty probably of all time, they took care of them in 2007 when they were the most prolific offense, added Wes Welker, Randy Moss. They were just stomping on everybody.
Undefeated greatest offense of all time.
Undefeated.
I tell you, though,
that's hard to top.
Since then, though, it's been nothing but crappy stuff. Hey, speaking of fantasy football, on the down low for the Corrupted League, I picked up Deshaun Watson on the waiver wire. If he gets suspended for this whole first season, right, I'm considering keeping someone that I know people are going to give me a hassle over, but I have a reason, and that's Mac Jones. And here's why. Mac Jones in that offense with better receivers now will get 2 to 3 touchdowns each game, because he did last year towards the end of the season when he had 2 to 3 touchdowns.
What do you mean better receivers? Tell me.
Just better receivers. More. Give more options.
Explain.
He's got more options.
They got Devontae Parker, and then they got Thornton from Baylor. I like Baylor, but I don't think Belichick's going to let any rookie come in and do anything really right off the bat. But especially the way he kind of puts people like Thornton might fall behind Nelson. Nelson's got the money right now. They'll probably put Nelson in that spot first and foremost. But you got Devontae Parker, which I really, really like. Something to prove.
I think he's
One.
going to play who's ever the best, Matt. I think he's at a point right now,
Oh,
right?
Devontae Parker.
The stand's gone.
Devontae Parker's clearly the best. I think Devontae Parker's clearly the best out of what they got, with Kendrick Bourne kind of coming in second. But what they got is a bunch of 2s and 3s. So I think they're failing Mac Jones. I don't think they're giving anything to really expand him and make him progress. You can play a suffocating defense, and that's kind of what we've seen last year, where you've seen Mac Jones. He was very good with the ball control, but when you had the interceptions, they were like over the middle because the windows and the defense is really on top of the receivers.
2 to 3 touchdowns a game he's going to get.
I hope you're right. You were right when you said he was a good quarterback, because I do quarterback. I just think Belichick's going to fail him.
I honestly think this kid, right, could have a huge season, and Belichick will make it happen. Belichick would love nothing more than for this kid to throw 3 to 4 touchdowns a game and have, like, because there's still that down low Brady Belichick fu. Let's see what got you. If he's given Mac Jones the opportunity, because especially that defense, it always gets him good field position. He was letting the kid throw way more than I thought he'd ever let a rookie throw. Admit that. Like, he was letting a rookie quarterback throw. For Belichick, I was like, what the hell's going on? Right?
Hold on. I don't know if you remember or not, but there was a long time where a lot of people were saying they were holding them back, conservative. And if you look at the first game of the year against Miami,
you had to be first.
They ran the game, they ran the ball, and then they fumbled it, where they could have just did whatever they wanted to, kick the field goal, won the game, but they handed the ball over because they were playing too small ball. They played that a lot. They played that in the Buffalo Bills game. They played conservative. They played like the 2001 Tom Brady game. It's like, yeah, okay, good, cool. You got Mac Jones. He's a rookie. Don't play scared. Let him go out there, fling the ball, just like Peyton Manning and Drew Bledsoe. Like, there was the game against, I think, Miami, where Drew Bledsoe dropped back and completed like 55 completions and dropped back like 80 sometimes. Like, that today could be like 90 dropbacks. You could do that.
They let him throw more, Matt, at the end of the year. You know that, right? Like, at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely they did, but it didn't really translate into points. Like, the end of the year, they had a real downfall. And the reason why it didn't translate into points is because they don't have the talent to do it. And Bill Belichick is playing like Tom Brady's at the position.
So
he thinks like he can just get by with little talent with Mac Jones, and he can't.
So he had like a couple of games in a row where he went 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, then 1-1, then 2-1 again, then a 1-3, the 0-0, and the 1-0 ending. But my point is, even in the beginning, he had a 3-0, 2 for 3, 2 for 2, 2 for 2, 2 for 3, 2 for 2, 1. But my point is, right, and his yardage is always around the 200s. He's going to be given more freedom to throw this year because Bill needs to open the offense up, and he knows it. So this kid's in a really good system. I really feel like this kid could be – you know how I've argued for years that Brady was also a system quarterback? Like, yeah, he's a great quarterback, but if he wasn't in that system, he would have never been Tom Brady. Like, if he was on the Browns, I don't think we've ever would have heard of him.
When you talk about systems, who is running the system this year for New England?
Mac Jones. No, but it's always been run by Bill, right?
No. You had Charlie Weiss early on, and then you got Josh McDaniels, who's been there, and Bill's never really been without him for basically 15, 17 years. So
no, he left for a while. He went to Denver.
He went to Denver for 2 years.
Remember?
It was 2 years, was it? Was it 1 or 2 years?
2 years.
He started out 6-0. He started out 6-0, and then Yeah, he went to the playoffs, and then he got fired. Yeah, so 2 years. So and he came right back.
Wasn't he caught in the whole Tebow thing? Wasn't he there during the whole
He
Tebow
drafted
flip over?
Tebow, and that's basically pretty much what he got fired for. And the funny thing is if we want to talk about that, like Tebow took a team that wasn't going anywhere to the playoffs and really didn't get a good opportunity. Like, and what do you think about Tebow today? Like in the NFL, I think that it's really changed that much from now till then that he might be better at quarterback today.
He
Than he
missed
would.
his window, if you want my opinion.
He missed his window.
Yeah, he missed his window because here's the thing. If Elway would have just swallowed his whole quarterback bravado and they would have just let like the system run to what Tebow can do more. Let him just run out of the pocket, but let him run out of the shotgun. Like I would have just been like, here we go, let's run the wishbone. Like we got a guy who can do this. Let's just use it. He's not the greatest thrower in the world. Let's just do what he's good at. And you know what? They didn't want to do that completely. They didn't want to fully commit. They wanted to, he's got to do this stuff that he wasn't good at. I don't understand why people do that.
The year that he had, there was like magic happening in every game, and they were like, "This is definitely not going to sustain itself."
Oh,
like, who knows? Who knows? Like you go with what works, and it was working. Like defenses standing on their heels is exactly what you want. Defenses attacking is not what you want. You really can't attack a Tim Tebow as much as he and that ended up being kind of the game plan. You blitz Tim Tebow, but if you had today's NFL, you really kind of could spread the defense, open it up, and Lamar Jackson can't stand the blitz, but
he's not big enough. Tebow is big enough to take a hit from a linebacker.
Exactly.
Hey, and we got to wrap up. I got to do the USFL show with Buddy. For the record, Matt, in 40 games throughout the USFL season, I picked 29 correctly. I was 29 and 11.
If you would have let me, I would have said you picked 28, and I was close. Oh, I would have been right.
29 out of 40. I was trying to explain that 72.5%. Do you realize if the people listened and actually bet what I said, the money they would have made just based on those numbers?
Big rich. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Matt, it was a great show. I hope you feel like you got something off your chest a little bit. You got some stuff out. It's always good to talk things through. If you have any last words before I wrap it up?
Just live life every day. You're blessed to be here and know that you're loved. And I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys' time. And thank you for tuning in. And King, be good, be healthy, and make money.
Yep. And those of that listen to this entire podcast, if you or someone you know is considering hurting themselves in any way, there's hotlines you could call still. There's websites you can connect. But make a point of getting involved. Even if you're not wanted, get involved. So
not the option.
So for Mastradomus, it's me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This was Legit Fantasy Football, brought to you by LegitPodcast.com. We will see you again on Sunday. Stay tuned. The USFL show is next.
Peace.